Man, oh man, we had a very spicy day in the NHL. I love to see it. Lots of moves coming from. Well, we knew the New York Rangers were going to be making moves. This was obviously objectively true. Like I always say, guys, when every insider is saying that a certain team is going to make moves and they're hearing buzz around the NHL, you know stuff is changing and changing quickly. So, the Rangers have had a very tough time this season. Very tough. I mean, they've been really not that good at all. They've been really bad defensively. Let's be clear. If they didn't have Igor Shesterkin in net, this team would be last place in the league. That's how bad they've been defensively. And they've been losing so much that there have been a lot of insiders saying that their general managers and their management team want changes, and they want changes now, which is completely fair, by the way. Like, it's not an unfair thing to say you want changes if you're not up to expectations, but you shouldn't do a panic move. That's my philosophy. Now, so the New York Rangers have traded Jacob Trouba to the Anaheim Ducks. What they got was Vakkainen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that guy's name correctly. Earl Vakkainen. I don't know. Whatever. I've never even hardly heard of him. He's not an impact player at all. He was a former 18th overall pick, but he's 25 by now, so it doesn't look like that draft pick has panned out, if you know what I mean. And a 4th round selection. Now, a lot of people might look at this trade and they might look at a marquee name like, Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba is a relatively well-known name. And they might think like, wow, New York got fleeced. You have to understand, this guy was getting paid like $8 million. He was getting paid a lot. So the philosophy is was he performing up to $8 million? I would say no. So, well, the New York Rangers are slightly worse today. Like, I technically think that they are better with Jacob Trouba than without Jacob Trouba. I still don't mind this trade for the Rangers because it's essentially a cap dump. Let's be real. I mean, they basically got nothing but a pick and a depth player that is a fringe National Hockey League player, and that's a cap dump, right? So they are slightly worse, but they essentially, what they're saying is, we want the $8 million. You know what I mean? Like, we want the $8 million rather than the player. Now, what this tells me is that the Rangers clearly are not done. They are not done. Like, I know they made a signing, and we're going to touch on that in this video, but this shows me that they are not done, because they're going to have cap space still, and you have to think that they are going to be making more moves here. Like, I really, really am going to be keeping an eye on the New York Rangers, because we don't even know whether this team is going to make the playoffs. Now, Jacob Trouba he's fallen off, in my opinion. Like, I'm not going to say he's not a National Hockey League defenseman. He is, but he's fallen off, in my opinion, for sure. Now, here's the thing. The New York Rangers essentially bullied Jacob Trouba into waiving his no-trade clause. Like, they absolutely did essentially bully him, because they were saying that, hey, listen, if you don't accept our trade, we're going to put you on waivers. This is essentially what they did. They threatened to put him on waivers. So essentially it's like, you can go anywhere, or we can work together. You can waive your no-trade clause, and we can work out a team that you can go to. It's one or the other. I mean, you can give me your opinion on what they just did there. You can say, hey, that's greasy, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, it's business. That the players have the right to negotiate their no trade clause, but the team also has the right to say, buddy, we'll just put you on waivers if you're not going to work with us. It is a little bit greasy. We've seen Tampa Bay did this with McDonough. Like, they were essentially like, buddy, we're going to put you on waivers. Just work with us. And because a lot of players don't want to waive their no trade clause, which is actually pretty reasonable, by the way. I mean, they had the right to negotiate it, and that's their right. But I understand why it's controversial. But yes, Jacob Trouba has been playing a lot of minutes for the New York Rangers, and they have been horrendous defensively this year. Like I said before, if they didn't have Igor Shesterkin, this team would be in the bottom of the league, in my opinion. Like when you watch them play, they are all over the place. It's like, now you can't blame that all on Jacob Trouba, obviously, but he's one of the leaders. He's one of the top defensemen. You know, he's one of the top guys on their roster, quote unquote. So he's got to perform like it. It's that simple. But this is just another reminder, man, that the NHL is simply just a business, dude, and that's just an absolute fact. Okay, now, I also wanted to touch on Igor Shesterkin getting re-signed to a max deal, 8 years, $11.5 million. So this is a historic contract for the New York Rangers. Now, I am of two thoughts here. On number one, I will say that the New York Rangers wouldn't be as good without him. I also have a philosophy of not paying goalies. I'm not generally a huge fan of paying goalies huge. For Igor Shesterkin, I'm going to make an exception in this regard. Igor Shesterkin is an elite superstar goalie, the type of goalie that you build around. Period. He is that good. And my take is very simple. You can't just let a guy go. He wanted to be the highest paid goalie in the league. The New York Rangers had almost no leverage in this situation. So at the end of the day, they're going to give him what he wants. Goalies that get paid good worry me a little bit because goaltending is such a fickle, position. It's such a weird position in this regard. But I really do actually like this move by the Rangers. Like I said before, I have to stay consistent with my analysis. They would be a significantly worse team without him. It's that simple. Anyways, I just wanted to touch on those two, well, the trade and the signing. The New York Rangers making moves today. I love to see it. If you could like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong and tell me why I'm right as well. And have a great day, guys. Goodbye.